This is a Kirkendall Barrett presentation, darling.
You can touch it if you want.
Ladies, if you want to meet a man, check your storage closet.
Come on, Kendall. Take off your shirt and go camera shopping at Best Buy.
Good shirtless, not bad shirtless.
Yeah.
Well, it was gratuitous.
Yeah, it was.
I like a good grizzled man sometimes.
A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about your favorite movies on both Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel and try to make sense of them. I'm Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Oh, you're doing the voice again. Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Hello, that's Kirkendall Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
Yes, I am on the road right now. I am in Orlando, Florida, where I am doing my show, The Real Black Swan, Confessions of America's First Black Drag Queen at the Orlando Mini Fringe Festival. And as we started to record, I realized part of the cool thing about doing different festivals is a lot of the patrons will put the performers up in their homes. And so I realized as the podcast was started, oh yeah, that's right. I'm not in my own house. So maybe I should be a little quieter.
Oh, okay. Do they watch Lifetime and Hallmark movies where you're staying?
I don't know. I should find that out.
How did you not lead with that when you introduce yourself? I am Les Kirkendall Barrett, host of A Lifetime of Hallmark podcast.
Right. But I did run into one of our friends who does listen.
Okay.
Who's that?
John.
Oh, yeah, he does listen. Is he a regular listener now?
He was saying, what was he saying? Oh, actually, because he was like, oh my God, you were recording from a hotel lobby? So I was like, wow, he does listen.
Our friend John. And a fan of the show, apparently. That's great.
Hi, John.
Yes. Yeah. His show, I was going to try to catch his show tonight, but it's actually going on as we speak.
Oh.
So I'll catch it later.
I watched the video of it. What's it called? How I Met My Mother?
How I Met My Mother.
Yeah.
Also, this is kind of cool because all sorts of people who we know from traveling and touring, because this is how I met Kurt, by the way, is like touring different festivals. So a lot of people who I have not seen in years are here. So it's kind of fun. Yeah,
we met back in, can I say the year? 2005. Yes. 2005 in Cincinnati. And I remember it was like, I got a bad review and like, it was like later in the festival and we were kind of out. We're all out and Les took me to the side and said, listen, don't worry about the review. You know, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Aw.
See, I was nice.
What changed?
I know, right? I was life. I was.
And then he walked away and said, "I'll force him to watch Hallmark movies for years on end."
Right. little did we know.
Yeah, you are really doing the long con here, Les.
Little did we know that I would like harass you forever.
Back then, he was comforting all the young men.
Right.
I almost want to use that as a segue to the news that we got right before the podcast, but I feel like it's inappropriate.
That would be.
Oh yeah. This would be good for our Patreon. If we had a Patreon, we could talk.
Right.
We could have a little special episode.
I think we can talk about the news. I just think I shouldn't have connected it at that point. So let's pretend that I didn't.
You have to reveal it now.
Well, yeah. We were right before we started recording this on Thursday, January 12th at 6:21 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We got the news that Lisa Marie Presley had passed away.
And what's so crazy is that last week, Adam Rich from 8 is Enough passed away, and they were the exact same age.
Yeah. I have met both Lisa Marie and Priscilla Presley at different times.
Wow. I love Priscilla Presley because she was Jenna Wade on Dallas.
Oh, wait, how did that happen? How did you meet them?
Priscilla was just like randomly, I was in an elevator once with her, and then And then Lisa Marie, I used to work for a big syndicated radio show, and she had an album out that she was promoting, so she came in and was in the studio that day.
Okay.
Wow.
I remember
it's so pretty.
I remember it took her a long time to actually come out with an album. Like, she certainly had the option. She could have come up with something when she was younger, but wasn't she like 40 when she finally?
That's when I met her. It was during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just read she lost all of her money
Really?
How?
in 2018.
How so?
Like a bad business manager. She lost all of her. She was worth like at one point $100 million, and she lost it.
Wow.
Well,
And she was
she
was still in debt, which I was like,
Oh,
wow,
geez.
like, oh my God.
I would think she would keep generating money, though. She still has some ownership there, right?
It was
I'm
a
sure
shady business manager.
Yeah. Was it like a Bernie Madoff thing?
I didn't know if it was a Bernie Madoff thing, but it was just a business manager shenanigans because she was suing him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, but that just,
I was interested about Adam Rich because we keep hearing stories about the gentleman who played Data in the Goonies, who's now in Everything Everywhere at Once. He's winning all kinds of awards. He's won he's probably going to win the Oscar. He's won.
If there's
What's his
anyone
name?
that's Ki Hoi Kwan, if there's anyone that is a lock to win an Oscar this year, I think it's him.
I mean, you see
best
the list
comeback
of
ever.
Look at the list of critic awards. It is overwhelming. He's won like every critic award across the land.
It's a good combination of a fantastic performance in a fantastic original movie, combined with what a great story, what a great narrative around him that he hasn't really acted in about 30 years. He's been working behind the scenes as like a stuntman and stuff, and is presented with this incredible role that you don't really see Asian men get that often. And it's a movie centered around Asian people. I think there's just so many wonderful things sort of aligning for him.
Yeah.
It really is. He's so likable. He's so humble. Like, it's amazing. Like, there's a Hollywood Reporter. Anyone gets a chance, watch these Hollywood Reporter roundtables, and he's in a round table with Brendan Fraser, Adam Sandler, Austin Butler, a couple other people, and he's just so humble and like so thankful to be there.
Yeah, and first of all, I love the fact that he and a couple of the Goonies are like still friends.
Oh, like which
one
ones?
guy is an entertainment lawyer.
Yeah, it is his lawyer.
Yeah. But I was thinking about that. I said, this is a good example of a child actor who did well. He's close to the age of Adam Rich, who kind of went the other way. So it's kind of,
And number two, I kind of dig him. I find him kind of attractive.
I don't in most scenarios, but if you've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, there is a timeline where he's this sort of like rich businessman, and he's wearing a tuxedo, and he looks very debonair in that tuxedo.
That was that. Because I was watching that. That was the movie, one of the movies I watched on my flight back from the UK, and I was like, in those scenes, I was like, I could go there.
Had you not seen the movie before?
Pardon?
Had you not seen the movie before that?
I had not. No.
I would recommend. First of all, did you like it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I've seen it twice since I've been back.
Yeah, I would. Oh, okay. So you haven't seen it, because I was going to say I would watch that on a larger screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it again. Oh, I saw it on the big screen. That was one of the movies I went to see last year. I'm going to watch it again though.
And it is screener time, so we'll probably be either getting it in the mail or our links like next week.
Well, they just announced the SAG nominees, so those links might even be live now.
Ooh.
I didn't see it yet, but I know our audience always loves that when we talk about the. There are people out there who enjoy when we start talking about union rules and things like that. But yeah, we will be watching the SAG Awards. We'll be.
Because we're voting.
Yeah.
We have to vote.
This is the first year in a while where I've actually been excited about prospective nominees.
Right. But don't you love it, though? We get a say.
That's right.
Our vote counts. President Drescher wants you to do your duty.
Yeah.
I will. I'll watch every movie.
Oh, me too.
I'll do my best. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I don't get to see something, or but I really do my best.
That it was last year or a couple of years ago. Voting is how I got hooked on Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah, there you go. Are you watching Abbott Elementary?
No, but I'm sure I will starting next week.
It's really good. It really truly is. It's
one.
worth all the praise it's getting.
Which is good.
Yeah.
And speaking of praise, do you have any Blac Chyna news?
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
The Blac Chyna Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
I was just going to say that Jennifer Coolidge won a Golden Globe. I'm working on it. All right, so
It kind of sounds like this.
I'm working on. Oh,
It's more in the
Yeah.
back of the show.
I won a Golden Globe. Okay. All right. So I'm working every week. I practice a little bit. All right. So here we go. This is from the U.S. Sun. Oh, they have an advertisement for Prince Harry's book, which a member of our show is listening to.
I'm listening to the book now on Audible.
Let's do that right now. Okay. So we'll get back to that. So this article says that Blac Chyna has been sued by singer Eliana Fisher for stealing the chorus of her original song, Hate Me Too. The U.S. Sun has exclusively obtained court documents claiming that Chyna, whose real name is Angela White, infringed a copyright in the rap song Doom. Eliana, a California singer and former Playboy model, released the song Hate Me Too on October 11th, 2018 on SoundCloud featuring rapper Jordan Lee. Now, just as my own commentary, I couldn't find this song. I tried to look it up to listen to it. It doesn't seem to be on YouTube or anywhere.
Like Zeus TV?
It's just not anywhere. It's not anywhere.
Maybe she moved it from SoundCloud to Zeus TV.
Maybe she did. It's behind a paywall.
What's it called? Okay. Hate Me Too?
Hate Me Too. So
and is it TOO or the number 2 or what is the 2?
TOO.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
Okay.
But I found songs with that title, but not by this woman. Eliana signed a Sony distribution deal, and her album Fugo was distributed with Hate Me Too as an included track. Chyna released her music video for Doom on YouTube in 2021. According to court documents, Eliana claims Chyna plagiarized the lyrics and rhythm of Doom for her song Hate Me Too. Both songs have the same chorus where the singers repeat the lines, "If I were you, I would hate me too," 4 times. In May 2021, Eliana filed her first complaint with the Los Angeles Superior Court claiming Chyna they just repeat and repeat. This article sounds like it could be like 2 little paragraphs and that's it. Anyway, by September 2020, the case was dismissed because copyright infringement is a federal legal crime. It needs to be brought to a federal courthouse. Eliana refiled the complaint in the federal courthouse in November 2022.
What is this person's name again, Kurt?
Eliana, looks like, I guess it's Iliana Fisher.
Isn't that the name of Sacha Baron Cohen's wife?
No, that's Isla Fisher.
Oh, okay. I wonder if they're related. Iliana Fisher. Yeah, I can't find it here either on SoundCloud.
No, look for it.
Maybe she pulled it down though.
I don't know.
Maybe she's like, I'm not letting people steal this.
I don't know, but that article could, as I said, it could have been told in about 3 sentences, but they kept repeating. I didn't write the article.
All I have to say is, Angela, Chyna, come on, stay out of court. Stay out of court.
Well, then the article. This is another article where I think it was the person was paid by the word, because then it goes into the Rob Kardashian thing. It goes into the woman. Yeah. They're
trying to fill out a page so that A, they can sell ads, but B, it's searchable through search engine optimization. So you want to put in keywords that people are searching a lot, because then your website comes up at the top of the pack.
So what are the words like Blac Chyna court?
Probably Kardashians, probably lawsuit, probably like, curvy figure, like all the like things that they put in these entertainment stories that you see in every entertainment story. That's why.
Well, and you know what? We love you, Blac Chyna, but you got to stay out of court for a little while. That should be your New Year's resolution for 2023. Stay out of court.
Yeah, that's good. It's not too late to make reservations.
You can fight as
Reservations?
much as you want. You can fight. You can punch bitches as much as you want. You could wear as many outfits as you want, but just stay out of court.
I feel like for the purposes of our entertainment on this show and our love of Blac Chyna and all news pertaining to her, I disagree. I think more.
Really?
Yeah, go to court more.
See, I want to see China, like, have a come up. I want to,
I think those two things can have a Venn diagram of overlap. Like, she's getting sued, but over here she's doing all these amazing things.
Right.
It sort of
stays busy.
Yeah, counters the lawsuits.
Speaking of court, motherfuckers brought back Night Court.
Oh, did you watch it?
No, I'm talking about
It hasn't premiered yet.
Night Court. No.
It
But what about my
looks
friend Markie Post?
so bad.
Who's replacing my friend Markie Post?
Your friend Markie Post is no longer with us, Les.
Yeah.
I know. No, I know.
There's Harry Anderson.
Markie Post was my buddy. Like, seriously.
Where's Marsha Warfield? She's around. They didn't put her back on the show.
Every day for like 3 years, I used to hike Runyon Canyon every morning. And every morning, Markie Post and two of her friends, these three ladies, would hike. And we'd pass each other every morning at the same time. And we got to the point that we'd stop and chat in the morning. So she was my buddy.
What would you talk to Markie Post about?
With her in it?
Oh, yeah, we did watch a movie with Markie Post.
And I think we talked to the writer of the movie that Markie Post was in.
Did we? Did Jim Mattson write one of those movies or
Somebody
something?
did. And I bit my tongue about, I didn't bring up, the Markie Post rumor.
Don't be talking about Markie Post. What's the rumor?
Well, Markie Post allegedly had an affair with Bill Clinton.
Well, good for her.
I feel like you've brought this up on the podcast before. I don't remember hearing that back in the day, though.
I think it was when he was governor, though. I think it was before he was president. But I don't know. Like, I wasn't there. And I remember I was biting my tongue. I talked about this before because I think we talked to somebody who worked with her. And so I bit my tongue. I didn't want to bring it up. Well, I did.
Well, though, I heard that,
and I repeatedly bring it up on the show.
I heard that that old school Bill Clinton had like something like a magnet.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
he
mean,
did.
it's like
Absolutely.
I've never found him physically attractive, but I see the charm attractiveness there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my mom had the hots for him. She's like, yes, he is good looking. Otherwise, she wasn't a big fan of his.
But he could lure you in.
I tell you.
He could lure you in, play the saxophone.
Allegedly. Mark.
Allegedly.
Allegedly could play the saxophone.
Allegedly could play the saxophone on Arsenio.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What if I find out that my mom had something with Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton's my father?
Maybe.
What if? Kirk Clinton. Oh.
That would get us some listeners.
Well, you better get him on the show if he was your... And your sister,
True.
Chelsea.
Yeah, they do need to come on.
I'm sure Chelsea watches the Hallmark Channel.
I feel like Bill probably does too.
Probably. Hillary.
I bet they listen to this
show.
podcast.
No, Hillary's on it a lifetime.
Yeah, Hillary's watching Lifetime.
Like, Hillary gets very excited when a black hoodie comes on screen.
Right. Hillary's watching The Wrong Teacher or something.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if they listen to this podcast because I heard they hang out like Starbucks, stuff like that.
Well,
They're down to earth.
Clintons, you're always welcome on the show.
Indeed.
Always.
Indeed.
Especially, we won't bring up Markie Post.
No,
Except we just did.
we just did.
We already did. I got it on my system for about a year. So
Oh my God. Okay, so this movie was horrible.
No
this is the wedding.
empathy
the
for
wedding
you.
Wedding Veil.
Expectation.
Yes.
And I had expectations that were not met.
My expectations were met fully, so that's why I have no empathy for you not liking this movie less.
This movie got so bad at one point, I started taking pictures and sending them to our thread of me dead on the floor.
which is good for our Instagram. What's going on with our Instagram? Because those pictures are great for that.
I'll put them.
I was like, because at one point I looked at the clock and it literally had been 30 minutes, and I was like, 30, like a half an hour.
The only reason I think I was able to suffer through this movie relatively unscathed is because I was watching it on was it Monday night? I think it was Monday night. So we've had a lot of rain here in California, and here in West Hollywood where I live, it was pouring so hard and for so many hours. I've got video of out on my street, and I live on kind of a hill, but it's still very like wide, city street. And the water was pouring down my street so fast that it looked like a river.
No way, really?
Yeah. It was insane.
Wow.
So I was stuck inside and couldn't go anywhere. I was like, I guess I'll watch this movie.
Is it true that Studio City, like there was a sinkhole or something?
That was Chatsworth.
Oh, okay. Because like I said, I'm here in Florida, and someone after a show walked up to me and said, "Did you hear about what's going on in California? There was a sinkhole in a place called Studio City." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
I don't think there was one. There might have been one there too, but it, that's an area where they're kind of, if you're going along, say, Laurel Canyon, you could definitely have some mudslides and things.
You got to be careful. Florida, you've got alligators coming out of puddles.
But that's like the baseline there.
I'm in Orlando. I'm in Central Florida.
I'm gonna send you.
I'm in Orlando.
You're close to Orlando, or you're in Orlando, aren't you?
I'm in Orlando.
I just sent you guys the video of what it looks like.
Oh, geez.
Go take a look of the water coming down my street.
We'll describe this to our audience.
Yeah, because you do, and the hill on your street's pretty steep too. Okay, I'm looking at this.
Yeah. So it rarely rains there. That's what happens?
Oh my God! And it sounded like rapids.
Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't rain.
Wow.
I mean, it does rain in California, but not when it rains. It's like it'll drizzle for a little bit. We don't normally have like steady rain for more than say an hour. We get a lot of mist and like maybe it'll rain at some point. But that day we had pouring rain almost the entire day.
That looked like that could knock somebody over.
Yeah. It really was. Like, I saw people getting out of like Ubers and stuff on my street, and I felt so bad because they were like knee deep in water.
Wow,
that's crazy. You guys aren't ready for this.
No, there's no drainage here.
This weather's screwing things up. All of a sudden, here on the East Coast, all of a sudden it gets like super warm. Mm-hmm. So like greens are starting to come up. It's like it's January.
Yeah,
really. And they say global warming's a hoax.
Little weeds coming up. It's like, hey, get back down there.
Anyway, this movie was a hoax.
No, it was not. I protested when Les initially suggested to Kurt and I that we watch it. I said it's going to be terrible. And then we decided on watching it because you guys knew that I would be angry about it. So I think it's funny that Les is even angrier.
I'm so angry.
I rediscovered love to this movie.
What were, like, honestly, Les, what were you expecting this to be or to do for you emotionally?
Well, see, the last ones, I kind of liked them.
I like the main characters and the actors portraying them. Mm-hmm. But the problem with Hallmark movies in general, but especially when they're trying to revisit characters, is there's never any real stakes for what's going on. So trying to continue a story that didn't have much tension to begin with it's just dragging it out and longer. Like we know what's going to happen. We don't care.
Right, and I liked it because Sammy's in it. Sammy from Days of Our Lives. Yeah. Because I love her.
Well, this movie is exactly what I expected.
Same.
Wedding veil. Expectations.
But they say you got to have ups and downs like a heartbeat. When the heartbeat flatlines, you're dead.
Well, I was dead. One of the things I got out of this movie is I learned how to pretend like I was dead and take pictures of myself.
Do you have a need?
That was part of your experience of watching this movie, so that has to add to it.
Well, I watched it. I texted my husband. Did some errands, did some work. So, but I paid attention. I think
I gave this my full attention. We better get started on this, man.
Okay, so we see a montage. Then we see a city.
And we should preface for anyone that for whatever reason is maybe new to the podcast or hasn't watched a lot of Hallmark in the past 2 years. Last year, Hallmark debuted a trilogy of movies all under the umbrella of The Wedding Veil. And they had Wedding Veil and then a subtitle name. So this is the fourth movie now from this series, starring Lacey Chabert, who's a big Hallmark queen, Autumn Reeser, who is a newer Hallmark queen who used to be on, was it the OC?
Yeah.
Because the OC. And then who played Sammy?
Allison Sweeney.
Allison Sweeney, who's from Days of Our Lives and also a big Hallmark queen. So, and they'll do, each of them will have a movie focus on them while the other two are still featured in the movie, so they can put all three of their names in the credits.
And I'm used to seeing Allison Sweeney play Sammy Brady, where she's totally evil. So it cracks me up to watch her in movies like this, where she's supposed to be saccharine sweet.
She's good. Yeah, no, and I had a family. Okay.
No, go ahead.
What's that? I was gonna say we had a family friend from Pennsylvania visit sometime last year, and I told her I'd do this podcast, and she said, "Have you seen this Wedding Veil movies?" It's like, yeah. That was so humiliating. And she's like, "You're quite the romantic, huh?"
Well, there you go.
I love that you describe it as humiliating that you watch these movies.
All three movies I'd seen.
Well, now you've seen 4. And apparently, according to Les in our chat today, we're about to see 5, asshole.
Well, because you know what, though? I think because
Jason hasn't seen The Godfather.
The Italian guy.
What did you say,
Jason
Les?
hasn't seen The Godfather, and he's watching 6 Wedding Veil movies.
Yeah, right?
I think the Italian guy's hot, though.
I don't even know who you're talking about. Who's the Italian guy?
There's an Italian guy.
He plays Autumn Reeser's now husband in the movies. I don't remember a thing about these fucking things right after I finished watching it. While I was watching this one, I had to look up who are these, who's which guy, and they're bringing back characters from the other one. I'm like, oh, she went to a restaurant in that first one. I don't remember that, but okay, he's a character in this one again.
Well, Autumn Reeser's character was married to this hot Italian guy who wore really cute turtleneck combinations.
Oh, I remember
you. Picture of the TV screen because I loved the color coordination of his turtleneck.
I remember did that.
I remember that detail more than I remember these movies, and I'm not saying that as a joke. I do remember you talking about his fashion. I remember something about his family was big in the lace industry or whatever. Yes. So they that's where the lace of this fucking veil comes in.
Yeah, you guys. I'm liking the movie less hearing you guys describe it. Just really dragging it down.
Well, anyway, we see the city of Boston.
Okay, good.
And then we see Lacey.
1 minute into the movie.
We see Lacey Chabert waking up to a rose lying next to her. And her husband is staring at her kind of creepily. And...
Well, most women, when I do that to women, they do stare at me creepily. Now, granted, I broke into their house that morning.
This is a perfect example of the thing we've joked about before of taking the plot of the Hallmark movie and doing the Lifetime version of it. If this were a Lifetime movie, he would have been there wearing a black hoodie as he stared at her.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then he would have taken off all of his clothes and been there standing there naked.
And he would have stabbed her with the rose.
Right. Exactly. In the eye. So then they're being all lovey-dovey. And they live in this big, humongous house.
But yeah, it's this castle
in Boston.
And again, because I don't remember much about these movies, I was like, wait, was he a prince? I don't remember that plot line of him being a prince too, because that is a big Hallmark trope. But I don't think he was. I think he came from a lot of money, though. I did remember that.
This is like the castle in the last unicorn. I mean, this is something
Right.
like John.
Or in that, did you guys ever watch that old show, Don't Something the Daisies? And it was about
No.
this family and they lived in a castle. Oh, Please Don't Eat the Daisies.
No,
and
never
it was like
heard
an old TV show and they all lived in a castle.
I never heard of that, but one of the ongoing plot points in this movie is they're doing like renovations on this house, castle, whatever you want to call it, and they kept running into more and more problems. And the entire time I'm like, wasn't a major plot point of the first movie was that he came from an enormous amount of money? So why are they even fretting over these changes and fixes?
Yes. And I do love the fact that you knew there was going to be a problem because the contractor came out and the contractor's like, your house is quirky and that's never good. Mm-hmm. We then see a taxi and Sammy, I put Sammy and the other one, actually their names are Tracy and Emma, show up. And
well, first, it was brought up when we're learning about all these problems with the house that Peter's mom, who I think we met in the first one too, she used to be an interior designer, and she's offering to help.
Very pretty.
Yeah. She's offering to help. Peter's kind of hesitant to it, but Lacey's character, Avery, she is totally on board.
Yes.
Which on paper would set up that, they're going to clash over the renovations. Right. They did not, because there's never any conflict in Hallmark movies.
No, because he's a pushover. He just says yes to everything that she wants.
Well, but he's a passive-aggressive pushover. He's kind of a dick, too, though.
He is, and he also is, but wouldn't you think that if you're setting up like, hey, my mom wants to help renovate, and your wife is like, yeah, that's cool.
Right.
Like, wouldn't it, just in terms of an interesting-ish story, wouldn't it make more sense if maybe they didn't agree on everything?
Yes. And it's like, the wedding veil, Trouble in Paradise.
Yeah.
That would have been really good, actually. Right?
Make it interesting.
So then Tracy and Emma show up and they bring the wedding veil and they also bring a christening gown. Actually, and this is where I thought that would have been interesting too, if they're like, okay, now we have the christening gown and everybody who gets the christening gown gets pregnant. Mm-hmm. Everybody touches it.
But again, that wasn't the case.
But I did love that Sammy was like, I'm not touching that christening gown.
First of all, that reminds me of Tracy Morgan. I'm gonna make you pregnant. But also, I at first, and we were discussions about this earlier when we weren't recording, that I kind of admired at first that Sammy, or whatever her name is, she said she didn't want to have a baby. I thought, oh, that's nice. They're respecting the fact that a woman might actually not want to have a baby.
And I love the fact that on Days of Our Lives, Sammy has 4 kids by 4 different men.
But I agree with what Kurt was saying. They were setting it up like, oh, we're going to be, the whole new Hallmark, and we can talk about women who are making the choice to not have children, and it's okay. But they hit it over the head so many times in this movie that Kurt and I both, I think, are in agreement here that it immediately negated any kind of like, yes, women. And now it's like, oh yeah, you're going to be back in that stereotypical corner and it's going to be that storytelling thing of like, actually, I do want kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it seemed like they were setting things up for.
But I was kind of thinking that it kind of seemed to me that Sammy was having trouble in her marriage.
Well, didn't her character in her first movie that focused on her, she was having trouble in a relationship, and didn't she end up with somebody else?
Yes.
I highly doubt Hallmark is going to go super progressive and have her find yet another new man.
Well, because, this is 3 years after the last movie.
That'll be a big swing.
Well, we didn't do this. These wedding veil movies were a year ago, right?
No. But in the movie, we find out it's 3 years
I thought
later.
they said it was 2 years later.
or 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
later.
I was gonna say, I think it was 3 years.
And so then Lacey then tells the other ladies that she had a false positive pregnant. Oh, they went out to dinner. They were ordering wine. She's like, I don't want any wine. And then they were like, are you pregnant? And she's like, well, I had a false positive. And I'm still not sure, though. Because I guess it was a home test, and it was she said she had a false positive home, but she still wasn't sure.
I was surprised. Oh, go ahead, Kurt. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, it annoys me that these ladies are like Siamese triplets, and they always every time they talk on the phone, it's the party line. You know, they can't talk like one-on-one. The three of them have to be on the line.
Again, I think that was just a thing of, hey, we're paying him to be in this movie so we can put him in the credits and promote it that way. So we may as well use him. Right.
And these are our 3 most expensive actors, so we better get our money's worth.
That's getting under my skin.
So then they're and they kept on mentioning Let's Go to New Orleans. So one of these movies, they're going to end up in New Orleans.
For sure.
Well, that I agree with. I love New Orleans. I was with Les Kirkendall Barrett in New Orleans.
Yes.
At a gay bar, right?
Yes.
Were we at a gay bar?
At one point, yes. Kurt, whenever we're in the same city, I always drag you to gay bars. On purpose. And sometimes, Jason, I'll tell Kurt to meet me at a gay bar and purposely show up late.
That happened, yeah. Once or twice.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kurt.
Chicago.
When you're in LA, we're going to meet you at the Abbey, and I'll purposely be late so you can have some cake.
Yes.
I will, yeah.
I'll just avert my eyes while you're eating the cake.
That'll keep the guys away.
Okay. Oh, so
except for the chubby ones.
So who was it? Oh, so one of them. Oh, it was Lacey. She said that I guess one of her coworkers got a job at the Getty.
Yeah, and I sort of vaguely remembered her boss in the first movie was a woman, and that character's name was Sonia. So basically, they needed to write Sonia out of this so they could give Lacey a new boss, which is like the only even hint of conflict we see in this movie. So they wrote that character out.
So then this is the part that was like annoying me, because why didn't she just tell her husband, I think I might be pregnant? Because she calls the doctor and he walks in and she gets all weird about it.
Yeah.
So he's like, why are you acting weird?
That's true. She's kind of walking around eggshells with this husband.
I think you said it earlier today, Kurt. These people are acting like they're the first people that have ever had a baby.
Yes.
Did I say that?
You said something along the. Oh, okay. It just. I understand why they wanted it in the script that she's like she wasn't trying to hide it from him to be deceptive. She was trying to hide it from him till she knew, because she wanted to surprise him, because she thought it was going to be a beautiful thing. But they took it to ridiculous lengths.
It reminded me of, like, remember the I Love Lucy episode where she was going to tell Ricky that she was pregnant with little Ricky? Mm-hmm. And she went through this elaborate thing.
I did think about I Love Lucy. Yeah.
And then he had his band play a song, and it was her.
It makes sense that they did that back in the 1950s, though, because the network wouldn't even let them say the word pregnant.
That's what I was thinking. Right. When they said pregnant on the show, I was reminded of I Love Lucy. And then they were in the same, they kept showing them in the same bed together. Not much was going on, but
and then,
show that I Love Lucy.
But remember also, it's like back when like Wilma was going to tell Fred she was pregnant with Pebbles.
Yeah. Well, also, like, if you've seen Being the Ricardos, parts of that movie are based on reality, just sort of not on the correct timeline. And that was a real thing back then. The network didn't even want to write her pregnancy into the show.
Right. A baby was just going to show up.
Also, we have to keep in mind, as we're comparing, I Love Lucy was a groundbreaking show with genius comedic talent. This movie is a flat, boring movie with vanilla performances. and will never be remembered.
Nope.
Unless our family friend from Pennsylvania visits again and asks me if I've seen these movies.
Because you're a romantic. And you're like, how dare you?
So you're saying, Kurt, that the Wedding Veil Expectations is not in the same league as I Love Lucy?
That's correct.
Okay. Just sure.
So the guy replacing Lacey's boss, Sammy actually knows him, and Sammy hates him. Now, on Days of Our Lives,
hate this guy?
On Days of Our Lives, when Sammy Brady hates someone, she makes their lives miserable. You know, she'll switch their paternity test. She'll sleep with their husband. You know, she'll sneak pills in their drink. You know, Sammy's very vengeful that way.
I would have welcomed any and or all of that in this movie.
Right. But in this movie, since it's Hallmark, she just said, I don't like him.
He's not completely out of earshot when she says it. This guy doesn't seem that bad. Like I say, they treat him like he's like Gestapo or he's like a member of the Manson family. But he's he seems okay. He drinks coffee that the Lacey Chabert doesn't like the smell of.
Right, because she's pregnant. Or she ends up, when we find out she's pregnant, which she is.
Yeah.
You know how with certain pregnant women, with certain smells, they're sensitive to certain smells. Her thing is she's sensitive to coffee smells. So, who was it?
This is when she calls her friends and she says, I'm seeing another man. There's another man in my life.
Yes.
Yeah. And they just assume she's getting rooms at the Motel 6s, you know.
Right. But it was actually the contractor, and she loved the contractor.
Right before that, there was a beat where she called to make a doctor's appointment to check and see if she was pregnant. And the doctor, she was told by the receptionist the doctor was out of town, and she was going to have to wait like an extra week. And that detail was dropped because the next scene, like she's already seen the doctor. I don't know why they needed that beat in there. It must have been like an old version of the script and they just never edited it out or something.
And we're in the 2020s. Why didn't you just use Follow My Health or whatever porthole your doctor has and make an appointment?
Exactly. Yeah, go jump in a porthole.
Oh, so the dining room. Then they find out the dining room has leaks in it. And so, like, this house is just, this house is like that was it Tom Hanks movie, The Money Pit?
Yeah.
Money Pit, yeah.
So then she's shopping with her mother-in-law. And
wait. Oh, you keep jumping ahead here. Trying to figure out where. You were checking out during this movie.
Okay, go ahead.
They're in bed. We see them in bed. They keep implying that something's going to happen there. And they're talking about his mother.
The thing that happened in this scene is the thing that made me the most angry about this movie. And that is while they're in the bed and they're talking about the mother and, because Peter's hesitant to have his mom like helping out with the decorating, and Avery's like, I think she's lonely. Maybe she needs to find love. So we know that that's going to set up a plot point. But then they turn off the lights.
Oh, that's right. They had the clapper.
Yeah. They had a fucking clapper joke in a movie in 2023. Like, really, Hallmark? Really? That wasn't funny. What a lazy fucking attempt at humor.
Then again, we brought up that I've fallen, I can't get up woman.
I think talking about the fact that the I've fallen and I can't get up woman did personal appearances, I absolutely think that is worth talking about.
It is.
I would have loved to have had her at my party or something.
I wanted to mention something about the woman. I wrote this. I did write a little poem about the fact that this mother-in-law needs to get some action.
Oh.
Here?
Wait, hold on. And now, a poetry report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
This is in regards to the mother-in-law. Here we go. She could lick it, she could ride it while he's slipping and sliding. She could do all the little tricks that keep the D up inside it. She could smack it, she could grip it, she could go down and kiss it. And every time I leave her alone, he always tell her he'd miss it. That's it.
There you go.
Who is the actual artist behind that song?
Nicki Minaj has that song, "The Super Freaky Girl."
How do you know that? You of all people, how do you know those lyrics?
I'm listening to contemporary radio these days.
Oh,
I really got into this Nicki Minaj song.
In fairness, that song is no longer contemporary.
It's playing on the radio around here, like
what
every
station? What station are you listening to?
I don't know. It's the top 40 hits, man. Casey Kasem. No, they're playing all
Casey
the hits.
Kasem, who's been dead for like 10 years.
Casey Kasem.
They're playing all this stuff, man. It's
Casey Kasem has a radio
these are it's the current hits, man. I
Casey
hear my
Kasem.
car. And I had it. I was listening to that song on repeat. I'm into the Nicki Minaj.
Les, did you think when we were starting today's podcast that we would expect to see Kurt spitting some rhymes?
I did not. Kurt shocks us every week.
Obviously, I had it planned.
Wow.
I knew it was coming.
You're like Eminem in 8 Mile.
Right?
I auditioned for that movie.
Did you really?
To play Rabbit?
No, I auditioned for. I actually met with the casting agent for this movie. No, I auditioned to play the Mekhi Phifer role. But here's the thing: Mekhi Phifer role was originally offered to Giovanni Ribisi, so they were kind of going in that direction.
Oh, so for real, you actually auditioned for that role?
I did.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh wow!
So if you had been cast, that song "Lose Yourself" by Eminem would have name checked you instead of Mekhi Phifer.
Well, Mekhi Phifer rhymes with something in that song. He goes, "It ain't no movie. It ain't no Mekhi Phifer." See what it says?
Yeah. I think it says Pied Piper.
Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Well, he would have had to use a different word leading up to Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
What rhymes with Fitzpatrick that we could put in a rhyme?
Well.
Licks.
Well,
licks. Hat trick. Something
Hat
about
trick.
hat trick.
Hat trick.
Yeah. I'm he's talking about, he's probably doing something in a series of threes in the song, and I'm pulling a hat trick like Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Boo, 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 boo.
Yeah. Oh,
There's a story about there it is. There's a story about Seth Rogen and Jason Segel, and they went to audition for 8 Mile, and they probably were there the same day I was, because the way they're describing it is the same experience that I had. I had to bring a friend to read the other roles, like off camera, and that's what they had to do, and they were telling the story about how unusual that was.
Yeah, they made you bring your own reader?
I had to bring a guy. I had to bring a friend of mine, and I think I met with the main casting woman.
Yeah.
Because when I did the sign-in sheet, they were actually well-known people who signed in before me. Like Bijou Phillips was there, and a few other people. How I got into this thing, I don't even think I had an agent. I got in somehow.
I just had the look. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Who knew? Kurt's brush with fame.
Oh, I got all kinds of stories like this.
Kurt's brush with hip hop.
Stick around.
Right?
She could lick it, she could ride it. Well, oh yeah.
So anyway, so then the rapping mother, this is when they went to the store.
Rapping mother.
No, I was rapping about, don't give the mother credit. I was doing that. I'm rapping about the mother.
So the mother who was rapped about, then they go to the furniture store. and this is where the mother touched the wedding veil too, right?
Yeah. She was holding it. Like Avery went to go do something, and she's like, "Oh, can you hold this for a second?" Hands it to her and steps away, and that's when the mother sees this guy that she dated before she was married to Peter's dad.
They were engaged.
Yeah.
And so then he meets her and he checks her out and he asks her out immediately. And he leaves and she's all flustered and she's like, she turns to Lacey and says, he's a man from another life.
What life is that?
Yeah. Well, obviously a busy life.
That's when the mom started rapping.
Yeah. Yeah,
What's
she
that?
became a rap stress.
Yeah.
No. She became a subject of a rap.
She could be both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She could be both a famous rapper and a famous subject of a rap song.
Yeah. She could be someone's muse. Eminem's muse.
Apparently she's mine.
Right. So then apparently Lacey doesn't cook because she's always getting takeout. So she's at the pizza place. She's ordering takeout.
I didn't understand this. Was this a reference to the other movie that she was into pineapple pizza?
I
Because it's very
don't
dramatic.
think they brought that up in the last movie. I think they kept saying it in this one as a shortcut of saying pregnant people have unusual cravings.
Right. Even though I eat pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, I
it's not
like
unusual.
it, but I think it's like widely known that you either love or hate that.
Right. I love it.
The attempts at comedy, at least the attempts at romance, at least it's a fair swing. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But the comedy, whoever's,
Again,
back off on that, people.
Clapper
That's not
joke.
working.
Come on.
Bad.
Like, at least make it one of those home assistants.
Right. So she's
It'd be funny. He's so rich. He has an actual home assistant who walks over and switches the light off. That'd be kind of
well,
fun.
you would think
It's actual
you
Ask
know,
Jeeves.
Right.
Whatever happened to him?
who asked Jeeves.
Yeah.
I think he retired like Mr. Belvedere.
I don't think Mr. Ask Jeeves is a computer. Shouldn't he be alive?
Okay,
Like the Coca-Cola. What's his name? Max Headroom.
Well, there was also a clipper. There was also a big paper clip.
Clippy for
Clippy,
Microsoft Word. I would have preferred a Clippy joke over a Clapper joke.
Didn't Ask Jeeves get replaced by Google pretty much?
Well, yeah, Ask Jeeves had really good marketing out of the gate, but Google just had a better product out of the gate.
Yeah. So she's in her Italian restaurant being lazy, not cooking. So she's ordering out again. And I'm not sexist, people, because I'm married and my husband and I take turns cooking. But anyway, so she realizes that this is where they had their first date. And so she wants to have a romantic night. And their anniversary's coming up. So she tells the guy that she wants to sit at the table that they sat at on their first date.
That's not what she said.
Oh, what did she say?
So she's trying to make this romantic night at this, Italian place that they love so much, but she wants to sit at the bar where they met.
Oh.
This woman who is pregnant is like, where I want to celebrate that is at a bar.
Right.
Sitting on a stool.
And then would he come in and go, "Hey, do I know you?" And she'd say, "Oh, well, no, I'm waiting for my husband."
I just think it's odd that she would want to celebrate that at a thing that reminds her of the thing that she can't have right now.
Well, it's Lacey. She's plucky.
Yes.
She could have a club soda.
So she goes home. Peter's sick of takeout and tells her. And all he wants to do is help kids. Because he has this charity. He wants to help kids and he's frustrated.
Did you get what he was so stressed about throughout this movie?
What?
It was never clear to me, and maybe I missed something. Like, what was this thing he was preparing for, and why was he stressed out? And it wasn't. It felt like a false obstacle.
Yeah. So then he starts talking about his dead dad.
I see dead people.
Exactly. And he talks about how his dad was into, what was it? A lawyer, right? Or something. And he was into science. And he felt guilty. He felt guilty, and she said, don't feel guilty because you followed your own path. Because he didn't go into the family business, he wanted to teach kids instead.
Yeah.
But since he was filthy rich, he could have a teacher's salary and it wouldn't even matter because he was filthy rich. So he could do it and be magnanimous and still have a great, rich life.
Are we talking about Clark and Grace right now?
No, we're talking about Peter.
Because you said something about science or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember Peter having this
Oh, wait,
conversation.
wait. Oh,
I think you're talking about
get
Clark
mixed
and
up.
Grace. Yeah.
Science. I know what you're talking about. Science. You're saying that Peter
Sorry.
is the husband, right?
Yeah.
Peter is Avery's husband. Yeah.
Okay. I write Luke because he looks like somebody named Luke. Yeah, Peter said that his father, or did we already discuss this? His father was like very science driven, whereas Peter was kind of in the arts. He was in the arts, and so his father didn't.
But we knew that
I
from the
guess,
first
didn't push
movie.
arts. Well, we had to rehear it.
Because he was saying how he felt guilty that he didn't follow in his father's footsteps.
Oh man, he's stressed out about his volunteer work he's doing. That's what's happening.
And she was like, well, no, because you followed your own path.
Which is working as a volunteer.
I guess.
Well, okay.
And so, so then Peter says that, oh, my mom is dating and I'm not happy about it. And she invited us to dinner with them on Saturday. And Lacey didn't say, oh, you know what? I actually made a reservation for us. She didn't say anything. She just called and canceled the reservation. Mm-hmm. When she could have said, you know, that is so great, but I already made a reservation for us.
She actually did say that. She's like, hey, remember we talked about doing that romantic dinner? We were doing that on Saturday. And he kind of pushed through and said, no, my mom, like, she wants me to meet this guy.
And then that's when you jump in and say, oh, well, I'm pregnant. And I wanted to tell you that I'm pregnant.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But instead,
but he had a legit. I was gonna say he had a legit reason for being a little worried about a man being with his mother, because the mother apparently is richer than Rihanna, so he's afraid that some guy's gonna get in there and get a piece of the action.
that is a valid concern, but it also means that he assumes that his mom is naive, which I don't think this character was.
No.
Okay.
No. And she was a very attractive woman, by the way.
Gotta watch out. Yeah, but you know, people get dickmatized. I learned that word on the show.
True.
That's true.
So she could be dickmatized. The blood could have flown out of her brain.
True. It happens all the time.
Do you think the character of Clark was capable of dickmatizing people?
Well, you have that blue pill.
Do we don't remember them mentioning that?
Is that a dickmatizing effect? Clark may have dickmatized her.
So they're at dinner. The mom, Grace, was wearing chunky. She was wearing chunky jewelry. She had a chunky necklace. Mm-hmm. and they're talking at dinner. And she's actually kind of cock blocking herself because she was talking about her dead husband.
I see dead people.
And he says, you know, he's making the moves. He's like, I've been wanting to hold your hand for a long time. And then, so he's making moves. So then we're back at the office. And the assistant is getting the evil boss coffee. And Lacey keeps getting, that's another running thing too, is she keeps on getting sick from his coffee.
Yeah.
And he has plans for this museum that they're at. He wants to turn it into like MoMA or LACMA.
I don't know a lot about the art world, but I don't think it's common for an established museum to drastically change what kind of art they're presenting there.
I agree. Because he was making it sound like it was like a corporate business.
Yeah.
He was going to make art exchanges. When he's explaining some of this stuff, that redheaded woman who works there.
Oh, who looked like Joan from
Mad Men?
Not Mad Men.
Mad Men.
She looked a little bit like her.
But Christina Hendricks is pretty hot.
Well, she looked like a broke Christina Hendricks.
This woman is attractive, but maybe not as
not that level.
maybe not as front curvy.
She was not as voluptuous
Yes.
as Christina Hendricks.
Christina
And I used to
Hendricks
love, oh my God, I used to love Joan on Mad Men. I loved her.
That show is so great. This movie.
Joan, I remember Joan ended up owning a chunk of the company because she took one for the team. Remember that?
That's great.
Didn't watch the show. I tried watching it in season. I tried watching in season 1, and the pace of the show was so slow, and I just didn't watch shows like that back then. I know I would like it if I saw it now, and now that I sort of in retrospect realize that the pace was deliberately slow to sort of match the way things were edited from that time. But I didn't realize, how long ago was that? 15 years, 20 years?
I tell you what, though, Joan was a modern woman because this guy was like, this guy was like, I'll give you the money to save your company if I could sleep with Joan. And then the bosses were all like, well, Joan, if you sleep with him, we will give you a chunk of the company. And then they were like, Joan was like, okay, I'll do it. But then they were like, Joan, no, you really don't have to. And Joan went and did it anyway. And then Joan owned a chunk of the company.
Here's the thing too about Mad Men. So it's not like an exciting show like Breaking Bad. It's not like a dynamic show like that, but it's just great. It kind of moves at its own pace. Mm-hmm. It's not the kind of thing you want to binge watch, I don't think.
Joan was my girl.
But I think Mad Men is one of the best shows I've seen of all time.
As I said, I know that I would like it if I watched it now. It was at that point in my life and the kinds of things I enjoyed. It just didn't align with what I liked, so I didn't watch it then. But now I would totally enjoy it.
And then Peggy grew up, and now she's a handmaid.
Yeah.
I used to like Peggy, too.
I never saw The Wire. People always say that's like the greatest show ever.
I've never seen that either, and everybody says that The Wire is like the best show ever.
Well, maybe we should power through this terrible movie so we can watch all of those things.
Well, this movie must just somehow remind us of these great shows.
No, we're just constantly derailing ourselves because we don't want to talk about this one.
We're trying to remember shows that were great.
Yes.
No, the blonde, the reason I want to say something about the red-haired woman is because she looked absolutely shocked. She looks like shell-shocked when the guy is like explaining what they're going to do in an art exchange or something like that.
She's probably bored to tears like I was.
Oh, so that wasn't a shock face as much as a yawn.
Right.
Yeah, she didn't have her mouth open, so I didn't.
She's probably contemplating her demise like I was while watching this movie. Oh, okay. So Grace, tells Peter, guess what? I got a date. And that's when she tells Peter, this was a man that I was engaged to before your father. And then Peter is like just an absolute douche. And he's talking to Lacey, and because Lacey knew about the guy, and he's like kind of mad at Lacey, like, why didn't you tell me? And she's like, well, she met him, And I probably knew that you were going to be a douche about it. So that's why I didn't say anything. And then she's like, and also, it's not my business to tell you. It's her business to tell you.
Damn straight.
So then they were going to sleep afterwards, but they couldn't coordinate their claps for the clapper. And I'm sure Jason was like infuriated.
I couldn't coordinate my anger with the things I was throwing at the screen.
It is bad.
So then we find out. So they're at they're all at dinner, and we find out that Peter actually has nothing to worry about because Clark was a retired doctor, and not only was he a retired doctor, he was bored, so he took a job at Harvard teaching.
Didn't we find out he was a retired pediatrician?
Yeah,
He was. Yeah. That's a doctor.
Why the fuck did they not use that as a plot point? Other than mentioning that he was a pediatrician. Because half of this movie is spent with Lacey trying, and then later her husband trying to hide the fact from everyone that she's pregnant until they get past that first trimester. Why the fuck didn't this guy notice her nausea bracelet, which they made a plot point in this movie? Why the fuck did, when they mentioned earlier in the movie that her doctor was out of town, why didn't this guy somehow in the writing of this movie come in to save the day?
You are angry.
Yes.
because it was lazy writing.
Lazy Chabert.
It was lazy.
Somebody
writing.
needs to walk in that fucking writer's room and clap the light off and hire some new writers.
And then at one point, Peter was such a dick. Lacey had to pull him aside and say, "Hey, cool it."
She said, "You,"
because you're being a dick.
She was like Sean Penn at Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Because especially, so he was concerned about his mother, since his mother is a wealthy woman. But then when he finds out that the guy is actually going to be teaching at Harvard, he gets even more mad. When you would think that, oh wow, he's teaching at Harvard. This means that this guy has a shit together.
You know what's starting to bother me? And this did bother me while I was watching the movie. These people act like they have problems. And even Lacey Chabert is so frazzled. Like, you people don't have problems.
No.
I mean, even if you look at the grand scale of problems, they're not even making a quarter way across the grand scheme of problems. Oh my Lord. That's kind of insulting.
We skipped a whole beat of this movie where their basement was flooded and...
Oh, that was coming up.
And, no, it already happened. And they decide they're going to stay at the Astoria, and Lacey gets the honeymoon suite, and there's rose petals, and then Peter gets there and is thrown his back out from shoveling water and falls asleep on the bed.
Right. So she still couldn't tell. Yeah. So she still couldn't tell.
He should have just laid flat on the bed, and they could have gotten it on that way.
Right, and then she said, guess what? I'm preggers.
He just falls asleep.
Yeah, and snores.
She's not going to put up with that for long.
No, she's not.
Maybe
it's Hallmark, so she probably will put up with it for years. For years and years and years.
It's depressing.
So then... so then at work, Lacey finds out that her boss wants to get rid of the portrait of the wedding veil. And Lacey is pissed.
I actually agree with her on this point. Even though I don't care about this fucking veil, it was such a major plot point in these movies that this portrait and how they found it in the basement of that museum. Like, the museum owns this in the world of this movie, very famous unearthed painting from this very famous artist. Why the fuck would they be like, we're just going to get rid of it?
Right. And so, meanwhile, the house is even in more disarray because now we find out that, the pipes were replaced, but the foundation is cracked. So the house is just a piece of shit. And
what did they fix that?
Uh-oh, I've lost my spot. I lost my... Oh, here we go.
Foundation is cracked.
The foundation is cracked.
He said you can
And
see
then Peter yells at Lacey. I was like, how dare you yell at Lacey like that?
What did he say?
And then Lacey ends their fight by saying, oh yeah, well, I'm pregnant. And fight over. And so now he's being nice because he's like, oh my God, you're pregnant. And acts once again like she's the first person on the planet ever to get pregnant.
Mm-hmm. The population could finally continue.
So she's keeping it. She wants to keep it quiet her first trimester. And then, but then she, of course, tells her two best friends. And then, what was it?
Well, she sits in a junky room, and she sits there and she fantasizes about being a nursery.
And when they said the room was just filled with junk, and then it transformed into the nursery in her sort of like dream sequence. And the nursery had this giant, like massive, sharp piece of wood that they fashioned into a sailboat as part of the decor. And I'm like, that looks like a kid could impale his or herself on it.
Right. Now, here's another thing that they made a big deal out of that they did nothing with. Peter has an idea because he has a meeting with these executives, and he gets this idea, why don't I bring the kids that I help with me to this meeting?
Yeah.
But they never did anything with that.
No.
Oh, yeah, we never saw that.
And they could have, what I was thinking was going to happen, which would have made a lot of sense if somehow, because they pointed out that like one or a couple of the kids like really have some raw talent, that one of these kids was going to do something that was somehow inspired by The Veil or this other artist, and they could have like kids doing a tribute. And that way it's tying in his world to hers, and how his kids and that famous painting can help save this museum, and they don't need to do them. Or maybe it could be modern interpretations. They could sort of combine all these worlds and make everyone happy.
Right. But they did not.
No. They made the audience unhappy.
So then Lacey calls Sammy to ask her for advice because she hates her boss, and Sammy hates him too. And I wrote, well, the real Sammy would have really told her how to fuck him up. But she's a different character, so she couldn't share her evilness. Because remember, Sammy is the woman who, to get back at a guy, she shot his balls off.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yes.
I will say, in the world of these movies, she is still kind of the black sheep. Like she's in a Hallmark version of badass because she wears pleather.
Oh, see, don't mess with Samantha Jean Brady.
Shot a guy's balls off. You gotta have good aim.
Well,
Depends on how big the balls are.
Don't mess with Sammy.
It depends on how big the balls are. If they're enormous, you don't have to have great aim. You just have to have some aim.
He had to lift up. He had to lift up for her to shoot him off.
Or maybe she point down.
Sammy escaped. She escaped the electric chair. She was going to get the death penalty and got away. Sammy's badass.
Electric chair.
So then, what else happened? Oh, so then Lacey. So then Sammy or Tracy and calls Emma, and she's like, "We need to go to Boston." Now they went to Boston a lot, like on a whim.
It was fine for Tracy because Tracy was in New York. That's not that far. But Emma lived in San Fran.
Yeah, and they would just show up.
It's a pretty big burden for Emma.
They look like they had serious jobs too. Whenever they're on the phone, they're like, "Walk you to a meeting." I have a meeting. But no, they can just pick up and leave now.
We know they have serious jobs. That's what the past two movies were about.
But they're all in the arts.
Hey, ladies, if you could just pick up and leave your job whenever you want to go to Boston, maybe you're not necessarily at your job.
Yeah,
that was the opinion of Kurt Fitzpatrick, not of this podcast.
Right.
Hey, it doesn't have to be just ladies. That could also apply to men.
That's not what you said, though.
Right.
And animals.
Joe?
If there are any animals, like I know there are a lot of animals working in Hollywood, different trained seals and things like that. If they can leave and go to Boston, well, maybe they're not necessary for their job.
Yeah. Don't at me. At Kurt
No.
Fitzpatrick.
Just it was a broad statement.
So
What's the spelling of broad in that sense?
Broad statement.
Broad.
What did I say? It wasn't controversial.
Okay.
So Sammy and Emma show up, and the executive director knew Sammy. And Sammy just was like, hello, executive director.
Mason.
Hello, baby.
And he was like, Sammy, hello. And she gave him her evil, like, Sammy look. And that's like on Days of Our Lives, the voice that she gave him, that's like her Sammy voice when she's about to, like, kick your ass. So
I have something about a sex weekend. Did the two old people go on a sex weekend?
Yeah, they went to Martha's Vineyard and then extended their trip.
Yes. Clark was getting it in.
Yeah.
Getting hard.
Yeah, he's getting it in.
Awesome.
Because of that
Wow,
Viagra.
get into detail
Or
about
that blue pill.
What?
That blue pill.
Yeah. So then they all go out to Italian food, and Lacey is eating a bunch of pizza with pineapple.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be funny. There's also a hilarious bit, we skipped over this, where she's on the phone with everybody, all the ladies. They're exercising, and she's eating a donut.
But you know what I thought? I could see Kurt Fitzpatrick doing that.
Yeah, if
Well, sure,
we
he
did
wasn't
three-way
eating it.
calls beyond when we record the podcast, it would be like Les doing yoga. I'd be like, in my like fit class, like jumping on a box, and Kurt would be like cutting a slice of cake at a craft service table.
I
I
totally
do
see
yoga
it.
too. Yeah, but I do yoga too.
You do cake yoga.
Well, for the purpose of this podcast, I have to go along with the cake because that's my brand.
Right. Your brand. Oh, and then so Lacey, like when she was, so this is another dumb plot point. So when she was canceling the reservation with the guy from the Italian restaurant, she couldn't just say, oh, something came up, or, oh, you know what? My husband didn't know that I did this and he made other plans for us. I apologize. She lied and told the guy that they were getting a new car.
And that was the big news. Because that's why she
Yes.
made the reservation. It was like she wanted to, it was a surprise for Peter. And so the guy asked, like, oh, what's the surprise? And she blurts out, I got a new car.
Now, here's the deal. I'm married, and there are times where I will plan something or I will reserve something, not knowing that my husband has something else planned. Every time, I would say 100% of the time that I've had to cancel something and explain that, people are very understanding about it, and it's no big deal.
Yeah. And also, she doesn't owe this guy anything. She, even if he's a friend, you just have to say, like, oh, something else came up.
Right.
Yeah, but then this leads to something really dumb. She feels so bad about lying that she buys a minivan so that she's telling the truth.
Yeah.
First of all, it doesn't really work that way. You still lied. If you think you lied, you lied.
Right.
If you think it makes a difference.
See, that's a rich lady problem.
She righted it wrong.
I wrote in my notes that it wasn't just like she went and bought a car. She bought a minivan and specifically said she wanted a minivan. And I know that's like used to be the shorthand for, okay, I'm a parent now. But I didn't even think they made minivans anymore. And then they showed up in one and it was actually kind of nice. But I didn't understand why that was important in this movie.
And when you get a minivan, when you have multiple children, she had like one kid.
Yeah.
And it was a baby.
Look at minivans. Yeah, okay. There's a 2023 Kia Carnival. That's a minivan, apparently. Sort of.
They had something nicer, though, because they had money.
49,000. This is 49,000.
49,000 for a Kia?
Kia Carnival SX Prestige.
Wow. Well, that's why. Well, that's why it's called a Prestige, because it's $49,000.
There's an advertisement at the Value Key in Philadelphia.
Wow.
Feel like one of the wedding veil people.
So she asks Tracy and Emma to be the baby's godmothers. And that's another thing that I thought, wow, that could be another bone of contention. She could ask them and Peter could have 2 other people in mind.
Or there's a rule. There's a hard rule that you can't have more than one god. Yeah, since when can you have 2 godmothers? I never heard that nonsense.
Well,
the whole concept of naming godparents is sort of ridiculous in reality anyway.
You know, I didn't even know who my godparents were until I was like rummaging around upstairs. And I found it written in a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, on paper, it's supposed to be if, heaven forbid, something happens to your parents when you're young, then the godparents are the ones that are going to step in and be your caretakers. But the reality is there's probably other family members that are, when something like that does happen, they're family members or friends that are better equipped in that moment to take care of the children, and they're the ones that step in.
I tell you what, I wouldn't want my godmother taking care of me.
Mine's dead. Where's that? I see dead people.
Oh, sorry.
I see dead people.
Always, when we're talking about my godmother, what was that?
My godmother is still with us, but I don't think she listens to the podcast.
She's still alive?
My godmother
She's
is
still
no
alive,
longer with us.
No. My
godmother is no longer with us. And when she was, I wouldn't want her to be my parent. Just saying. Oh, so then
family show.
So so then Peter gave another dad monologue. And then what else?
This guy should be counseling.
Yes. So then they're hanging out at home, and the contractor. So Peter and Lacey are hanging out at home watching TV, and the contractor is there, and they're watching the news, and there's a segment about this guy who's talking about like old houses, and the contractor is like, "Oh, that's a friend of mine. We hang out all the time." And so I thought, oh, ding, 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 this guy's going to be back later.
Yeah.
And so then they were talking about the Red Sox for some reason, and he was talking about how his dad liked the Red Sox. And so yeah, so then Clark asks Grace to go to France, and Grace says no because I'm still caught up in with my dead husband. I wrote, oh wow, she's getting dicked. I wrote, she's getting dicked by a ghost.
Not literally.
I don't know.
Well, she said he was still in my life, so I was like, literal. I guess literally. I mean, and then this is the part that made me mad, and I even messaged you guys about it. She dumps him, and then she's like, "Well, can we still be friends?" I was like, "No, bitch. You use that line on me. No, bitch. We can't be friends. Can we still be friends?" Like,
what are we gonna do? Braid each other's hair?
Right. Like, if she would have just ended it, then I could see, like, okay, yeah, sure, you're not into me, but yeah, you're my husband, my dead husband is better than you. I don't want to be with you. Can we still be friends?
In my younger years, I once suggested to a girlfriend that I had, that she could be friends with my previous girlfriend. You two could be friends. She's like, what are we gonna do? Braid each other's hair?
Oh,
that idea didn't go over well.
Sorry, Kurt.
Did I skip
that today? Okay.
Did I skip anything?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can see what's going on.
So then we find out that Peter's meeting was a success, but once again, they missed the opportunity. because they didn't show him going to the meeting. So he said, "Oh, I brought the kids to the meeting," but they didn't. They could have shown him going and taking the kids to the meeting, but they missed that.
Yeah, this like off-screen obstacle from him didn't serve his character, didn't serve the moving of this movie along. I don't know why they even had it in the script.
I was stressed out about it. What was the problem? What was he so stressed
I don't
about?
know. I legit don't know.
We don't know.
There were kids to the meeting.
And fun fact, I don't care.
But this next part, though, this next part, though, I was impressed, and I had mad respect for this guy.
Oh.
Because, so, Lacey's on the phone. She's talking to her friends. She's talking shit. She is just shit talking this guy up and down.
Mason, you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's just shit talking. And he was so stealthy. She turns around and he's right behind her and she had no idea he was there. And he eavesdropped on her entire conversation and was not noticed.
So you were impressed by him in this moment.
Yes,
For
I
being
was so
sneaky.
impressed by him.
Okay.
Because she turned around and he had been there the entire time. And he just like had snuck up on her and stood there and was not like, made no noise, made no movement. And she just shit talked her way into trouble.
When she admitted on the call that she was pregnant, which she was trying to hide from him.
Right. And then the look in his face was, ooh, and now I can blackmail you too.
Because that's what the Hallmark movies are all about, is blackmail.
Right.
Blackmail trouble. And how progressive was this? I know you guys were being hard on me because I said, ladies, you're gonna get fired. Well, I'm not gonna repeat it. But they kept showing her having these like hormonal problems and like screaming, crying.
At Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Hey, they showed it.
I thought it was offensive isn't necessarily the word. Again, it's just like lazy writing of on one hand, I like that they feel they can portray women as more fully realized and as, going through these things in their everyday, but also it doesn't need to be sort of the caricature of, oh, I'm pregnant, I have crazy cravings and my mood swings.
Right. So obviously this movie was written by men.
I also say when I said ladies, I'm specifically talking about the two characters in the movie.
I bet this movie written by gay men?
Let's look. I never made that music of. Let me Google that for you.
There's music for that? Oh, Google music.
No, I was gonna make some music or like an intro for it.
How are you gonna find out if the writers are gay? You're gonna like look up who they are and then.
Well, I'm gonna see first of all if it's yes. That's one of my filters on there. I have like age, body type, and do you write Hallmark and Lifetime movies? Who wrote this? Sorry, my computer's running slow. This got 7.4 on IMDb. 3 women wrote it.
Out of 10? Out of 10?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because these are based on books. So the writer of the book is Lori Wilde. This novel was called There Goes the Bride. And then there are the writers at the teleplay are Sandra Berg and Judith Berg.
Oh, so maybe because I was going to say that, sometimes people write things when they haven't experienced it. Maybe they were people who had not experienced pregnancy, but since it is 3 women, maybe that was their experience.
Maybe these 2 women have experienced pregnancy, but haven't experienced carrying around a fucking veil to fall in love.
Right.
Maybe these ladies have not experienced writing a good movie. Oh.
Oh, so then Lacey goes to the contractor and she's like, hey, can I speak to your buddy who does the news reports on old houses? And then she has a monologue, I'm pregnant and I can't cope. She has the "I'm pregnant and I can't cope" monologue, which, by the way, it's like, you're not even at your third trimester yet. What are you bitching about? You're not even showing yet.
Is this because they don't know what to do? They're just hopeless? They're at their wits' end?
Well, no, because I've had friends who've been pregnant before, and around the 8th month, a lot of my friends who were pregnant around like the 8th month or towards the end of it were just miserable. Just miserable. I'm sick of this. Get this baby out of me. I'm done. I wish this would just be over already.
Yeah.
That would have been a fitting monologue if she was like that pregnant. But she wasn't even showing yet. So, what's your problem? Or I've had friends who the baby was late. And they were just like, oh my God, this baby is late. And I just want this done.
Yeah.
But my doctor is making me wait a little while longer before they induce labor. I can even see that and her having a breakdown like that. Because I've seen breakdowns like that before. But no. She's like, so what's the first trimester? The first 3 months?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she didn't even have like a bump yet. Like she didn't even have like a paunch yet.
No.
So the guy talks about it on the news.
Well, she's on the news, right? Like
She's on the news.
There's a whole news shoot going on at the museum.
Right.
And this makes this story creates such a stir in this town outside of Boston, or maybe even in Boston, that there is a line of people waiting to get in to see this veil and this painting, which they presumably have a line in the last movie.
Yeah, and they wanted to touch the veil too, right?
Yeah.
They wanted to see it again.
Yeah, I guess they wanted to touch it. No, these women were like, I want to get married, and I don't want to have to go on a show like Married at First Sight, so I'm going to go and touch this veil.
I could see that. I mean, I could see people showing up.
No, I can see people showing up. I feel like we've already gone through this beat in the other movie. So why is this an important piece in this movie? They had so many other opportunities like that christening gown. You could have had, the kids doing something with their art that would bring people in, but we're bringing people in with the same thing that they were already there to see before.
Because, I would have loved the plot to have been the christening gown now that goes around and they're like, nope, don't touch it, or like put a glove on before you touch it. Don't let it touch your skin, and have that like be the storyline. That would have actually been funny.
Well, you can't get so you get pregnant because of that?
Well, it just brings you luck the same way the veil did.
Yeah. Like, we're not talking like a virgin birth. Like, you touch the veil and you're going to get a baby.
Also, wasn't there a big plot point of a baby born out of wedlock or something in the first trilogy? So this christening gown could have absolutely played a role in the storytelling here.
Yes. Well, anyway, let's end this shit. So then we cut to a wedding. we cut to a wedding. Grace is getting married to Clark. And then I guess it's after 9 months later because the baby is there.
They said it was 7 months later on screen.
7 months later, the baby.
Oh, they can keep the Amici. They can keep the Amici painting.
Yeah.
Right.
Inside that. So there you go.
And then next week is the next one.
Why were Tracy and Emma at Grace and Clark's wedding?
They kind of explained that. She said, oh, I told them the story. And so they got invited because the mother liked the story involving them.
Well, all I know is that hot Italian guy better be in that next movie.
Who?
Or there will be hell to pay from Les Kirkendall Barrett.
This guy, he was very briefly in this movie?
No, the next one.
Oh.
Because the next one's about Autumn.
Autumn Reeser's character. Emma.
Yeah.
Next week's about Emma, and then the third movie will be about Tracy's character.
About
And if
Sam.
you remember the first three, the three main guys, those guys only appeared in one movie each. It was the women that appeared in all of them.
Oh,
Yes. But since this annoying guy was in the whole movie, I'm hoping that the hot Italian guy will be in the whole movie as well.
I think he
with
will
different
be.
outfits that I can take pictures of.
Okay.
No, because you know what I ended up doing over the Christmas season for all of my Christmas events, a lot of them, except for your event because I had to wear pajamas, I wore a turtleneck look.
Okay.
So it worked out.
You can rock that Steve Jobs.
It was, and it was inspired by him. He helped my winter wardrobe. So this one's about spring and summer, so let's see what he brings.
So you're just excited that you can go shopping because of the movie.
Basically.
You made people wear pajamas to your party?
It was literally a onesie party.
Yeah.
So we were all in pajamas.
What I've done.
I have multiple onesies.
I
would
found a
wear
cute
one of
onesie
yours.
for Jason's party, too.
Yeah,
It was a cute Christmas onesie
it was cute.
that I wore all through Christmas.
I have overalls. That be a onesie?
No.
No. You gotta follow the dress code, Kurt.
I have multiple. This year I had a gingerbread man onesie.
What?
Last year I had kind of like a slutty one, not slutty, but like sexier. I've got a Beast from Beauty and the Beast onesie. I've got Spider-Man. I've got a panda. I've got like 6 or 7 adult onesies.
Kurt, you're gonna be in California next month. Are you gonna be able to make it down to LA? Or in March?
No, I'm not going to be there that long. I'm going to be in Fresno.
Oh, I was having fantasies about going to the Abbey.
But I want to aim for being there for Halloween.
Done.
Yes.
Let's do it, and then we can do a live show.
Yeah, let's do it, Kurt.
Okay.
Kurt for Halloween. Because Halloween isn't, well, actually, it used to be a spectacle here. It's not much of a spectacle anymore. But we can make it a spectacle. And
It will
speaking
be.
of spectacles, if you want to get a hold of me, you can find me on Instagram at Kirkendall or at my website, which is leskirkendallbarrett.com. Jason.
Please rate and review this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave us 5 stars. That way other people can find us. You can find all of us on Instagram and Facebook at Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Big Shot Jason. Kurt.
I am at kurtfitzpatrick.com. It's Kurt with a K. I'm going to be at the Rogue Festival in Fresno, as we were just discussing, with my show, The Jester of All Maladies. That's the first week of March. That's pretty much it.
And by the time this comes out, I probably will be done because I'm in Orlando, Florida at the Orlando Fringe Mini Winter Festival. And my shows are tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But this will probably come out after I'm done. So I, too, will be at the Rogue Festival. And you can find out more about that at FresnoRogue.com. I was going to go out, but I think I'm going to, now that I'm in, I might just stay in and go to bed early because I open tomorrow. And we're doing a big performer breakfast tomorrow with like everybody.
That's fun.
The whole cast of characters. So, until next week, bye.
Bye.
Bye.